Ament and Stone Gossard of Pearl Jam, formerly of Mother Love Bone. They have a new project out. It's called, well, it will be out on Tuesday. It's called Temple of the Dog. It's a tribute record to the late Andrew Wood, singer of Mother Love Bone. Here's more from that interview/conversation.
Damon Stewart, how are you, my friend?
I'm well, thank you, Stone. Thank you. Chris, how are you?
I'm well as well.
You're well?
I'm well as well.
Welt, from me.
And Welt.
Jeff, good morning.
Hi.
Good evening. Good night. So, we're here about Temple of the Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We have some business with Temple of the Dog to do here.
Chris, this kind of started with some inspiration that you had written a few songs about Andrew Wood.
Yeah, actually, it was when he died. I was on tour, actually, I got back the day that he died, and then like about 5 days later, I went to Europe for another tour, and I figured it would be like this great thing because I would be away from home, and I would have to like look at places where I saw him, and like wouldn't have to see things that would remind me of him. And I thought it'd be really great, but it was really awful because I couldn't talk to anybody, and so I started writing songs. That was the only thing I really could think of to do. And the songs I wrote weren't really stylistically like what my band Soundgarden was used to playing, or what would even really be natural for us to do, and. But it was material that Andy would have really liked, so I didn't really want to just throw it out the window or like put it away in a box, put the tape away and never listen to it again. So I thought it might be good to make a single, and I thought it'd be really great to record it with these guys, Stone and Jeff, just because they were in his band and because I just thought it'd be a really fun thing to do. I was getting to be friends with these guys before he died, actually, and it just seemed like maybe it was a good idea. At first I thought about it, and then I thought maybe they would just think it was horrible. I was an asshole.
Which we did, but then we finally came around.
That was where the payola started.
Right.
And here's where it ended.
Yeah, basically, I gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. And
haven't you spent thousands on dinners before?
And knee pads.
Dinners and knee pads. So anyway,
Jesus.
These guys had material as well that they had worked on like before, and since he died, and it sort of at first was like kind of like this Requiem thing, but it ended up just sort of being like, let's make a record and just do this cool collaboration and have fun, and that's what it sort of turned out to be, really.
It was like a really good thing for us at the time too, because Stone and I were still trying to figure out what the hell we were doing, and it kind of put us in a band situation, a situation where we could play and make music again. I think in some ways it motivated us further to just kind of, we were having so much fun that we didn't really want to stop, so.
Temple of the Dog, FM 100 KISW. This one's called Say Hello to Heaven. FM 100 KISW, the new music hour, Temple of the Dog, Say Hello to Heaven. It's from the Temple of the Dog CD, which hits the stores on Tuesday. Temple of the Dog. Now back to more conversation and etc. from Temple of the Dog. In the studio, Chris Cornell, Jeff Ament, and Stone Gossard. Chris, of course, singer for Soundgarden. Jeff and Stone, members of Pearl Jam. Did you find the whole thing, inspirational to yourselves?
Oh yeah, totally. And just working with these other guys too. It was when you're in a certain similar band situation for a really long time, I think it's really good to play with other people, and I don't know, just to pick up on that. I think that's totally inspirational. Working with Matt and Chris both was like, really great.
And Mike McCready.
And Mike
good friend, Mike McCready.
Mike McMeady.
Too meaty, Mike McCready. Now, Eddie Vedder helps out a little bit on the record too, doesn't he?
Yeah, there was one particular song, Hunger Strike, which is I believe the first single that he was at one of our early rehearsals anyway for Temple of the Dog, because he had flown up here, and he was I guess it was the week he was trying out for you guys, and he had told me afterwards that he really liked that song. And in thinking about that song, there was a couple songs on the record where stylistically the vocals weren't really anything that I'd ever done before on a record anyway. It wasn't the way I was used to singing, and I thought that his voice suited that song really well, and it might be great to do a duet.
So Eddie sings the second verse and then all the low parts after the second verse.
Yeah, and he also sings backups on like 3 other songs.
There was actually a point, too, where you were trying to do like a dual part, like an overlapping part in practice. I remember he came up and sang it.
Yeah, actually that's true. Yeah, he kind of like he sang half of that song, not even knowing that I had wanted the part to be there, and he sang it exactly the way I was thinking about doing it, just instinctively. So that was...
So he essentially kind of fell into it accidentally, just...
Sort of, yeah. Yeah, he didn't... when I asked him, he was really... I guess, he seemed like he was flattered and wasn't anything that... I don't think it was anything... It wasn't anything any of us had planned. He was just there, and he's a great guy, and he's an amazing singer, and it was like, well, this is a fun project, and why not have him involved as well?
Now, Temple of the Dog, Chris Cornell, Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, Mike McCready, Eddie Vedder, and Matt Cameron. Matt's, of course, drummer for Soundgarden, Eddie Vedder, and Mike McCready, members of Pearl Jam. This is called Hunger Strike, Temple of the Dog, KISW, the New Music Hour. FM 100 KISW, the New Music Hour, Temple of the Dog, that is called Hunger Strike. New music guru Damon Stewart back in the studio with Jeff Ament, Stone Gossard, and Chris Cornell of Temple of the Dog. Now you say everybody says that it was a really fun and really inspirational time. Did you find it uncomfortable at all?
No.
Just because everybody's such good friends?
Yeah, and I mean, the situation was so non-pressure filled. There was, nobody expected this thing to be anything. So when we just went in and did it, the record company wasn't around. We basically paid for it ourselves to start out with, and are still in the process of getting reimbursed for that. But I mean, it was total no pressure situation, and we did the whole thing in probably a total of like 3 weeks of studio time, if even that.
I think it was like 12 days.
I mean, as easy to record as anything we've ever done. I mean, just like the drum takes went down like that, and everything was just very smooth.
Do you think things may have turned out a little bit differently as far as that goes, if record companies were aware of the whole...
I don't think we would. I think we might have had a few more battles. I don't think we would have allowed it to be any different than it was.
Yeah, it almost might have disappeared before it would have been something that anyone got involved with regarding, like, what material we should do.
Right.
And what, I mean, we were talking initially about doing some covers of Andy's solo material, and realized right away that politically that would get kind of involved for people being worried about us exploiting his material, which it's okay, that makes sense to me, but it wasn't. I don't think any of us were in the mood to deal with that at all.
Exactly. We just, more than anything, we just wanted to play, and I mean, the whole Andy thing was just more of an inspiration to the thing rather than being a direct.
Although I think someday somebody should do like a compilation record of different bands playing some of his songs, well, especially his solo songs, because he has so much material that otherwise probably won't ever get heard.
Temple of the Dog. This one's called Pushin' Forward Back, KISW, the New Music Hour. KISW, it's the New Music Hour. FM 100 KISW, the New Music Hour. That is demo material from Pearl Jam, formerly known as Mookie Blaylock. Do not be confused. They are now Pearl Jam. And in the studio, we have members of Pearl Jam and Chris Cornell of Soundgarden. We've got Stone and Jeff from Pearl Jam, Chris from Soundgarden. We heard Fresh Deadly Roses. It's an import. You can find that as an import. That's what we heard prior to Pearl Jam. New music guru Damon Stewart. Looking to the future, Pearl Jam is just finishing up recording its debut record, correct?
We have like a week left, and then we're going to mix it.
And so that will be out sometime...
July.
Or
late July.
Okay. And Chris, as far as Soundgarden is concerned, you guys have been rehearsing and writing lately? And
we've been writing.
How many new songs written to choose from for the new record?
Probably 30, but probably have to record significantly less than that.
And you guys leave for the San Francisco area this next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
That record, the Soundgarden record, will be out in September.
Yeah.
Okay. Glad we have that all cleared up, because I know that there's been a lot of questions as far as what's happening with Soundgarden now that this Temple of the Dog thing is around, and what's happening with with the Mookie Blaylock guys, and everybody's going, well, wait a second, they're not Mookie Blaylock anymore, they're called Pearl Jam.
That's the funny thing, too, is because the amount of time we spent on making the Temple of the Dog record, recording it as well as like writing the songs and putting the material together, it was sort of, it was such a short amount of time that whole thing kind of came and went, and we're like we're all totally submerged in what we're doing now, and it's kind of, it's strange to even think of it that way. It's kind of like, well, if Temple of the Dog's around, well, what is their other band doing? And well, they haven't even discussed it yet. They've just been sitting at home.
Well, it's like when you're somebody from the outside, every time a record comes out, you just think that they just got done making it, like, yesterday.
Yeah.
We just finished, we went pressed it yesterday, and then now it's done.
Unless you guys have anything else to add, I think that'll probably do it.
Cool. Good.
See you. We wish you well with projects.
It's always a pleasure to be here at KSW with you.
Seattle's best rock.
Thank you.
Did I tell you guys about the Chris Cornell and Crazy Horse album that I'm doing?
We fade on that.
That's the perfect fade right there.
That's perfect.
Did I tell you guys about the Chris Cornell and Crazy Horse?
It's FM 100 KISW, the 100 KISW, the new music hour.